battleground where warriors collide. DieHard anime podcast, we won't hide. Clint's gonna defeat, analyze each brawl from the underdogs to the champions standing tall. The fury, let your instincts rise. Feel the adrenaline rush, it's time to defy. DieHard MMA, we're in it for the thrill. Get ready for the madness. Let's make that bankroll spill. Let's make that bankroll spill.
Happy Friday, degenerates, and welcome back to the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show. UFC Vegas 96, home of fight. We are ready to go. We got weigh-ins today. We got PFL to degen out on tonight. And oh boy, did I degen out on some PFL. And then tomorrow, we've got an opportunity to make some cold, hard cash. Hopefully, I'm winning in PFL this week and I'm not chasing in UFC tomorrow, so we can kind of stack back-to-back cards. That'd be nice. But as usual, I went dog hunting in PFL and that hasn't worked out well recently. Okay, I'm doing the roulette thing. If it goes red, I know it's still a 50-50 shot that it's red on the next spin, but my brain says black is coming, baby. And I know one of these dogs is barking for me in the PFL tonight. So that's what we've got going on. This show is called the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show for a reason. I do all my research. I do all my work. We take the previews from Mondays, link in the description below if you want to watch that full show. And then after talking with the boys and the girls and everybody who we respect and getting all the tidbits of info we watch the weigh-ins, the face-offs. I give you the information that you need, and you can take that to go use that and make a wonderful bet tomorrow. Hopefully a winning one for you. And every once in a while, that tinfoil cap comes on out because we need it. All right, let's get on into it, everybody. First fight of the evening, we've got Wang 125. She takes on Victoria Leonardo, who also made 125 pounds. Kong very, very confident here. She's big for the weight class. She had a nice little smirk on her face. She's ready to go here. Victoria Leonardo, she actually looked pretty good. No issues there. She's always been kind of on the physical side. When they face off, Kong went full Joker. She's another Joker, and she dedicates to the bit. She does the finger guns thing. She's got the white face paint and everything. She looked fantastic up there. I'm a big fan of her playing into it. She's about a half head taller than Victoria Leonardo, and Victoria just smiled back at her with all this going on. She seemed very, very amused by this whole thing. Right now, you've got Kong as the biggest favorite on the board, minus 1,200. I've been tempted all week to just take like a little poke on Victoria Leonardo at plus 750. This is a step into a new world for Kong. Her only UFC caliber MMA win is Yanan Wu, someone who got completely dismantled in the UFC. Victoria Leonardo, the one time she got a break in competition, she won that fight. Not sure that she's UFC level though, because the girl she beat isn't UFC level either. So Wang should win this fight. She just really should. The UFC's setting it up. They want her to win this fight. She's a much better striker. I worry, though, that like the American-born physicality is going to maybe be a little too much for her. If I was going to do anything, it would be like a little flyer dart flick on Victoria Leonardo by decision. If she uses kind of a grappling heavy pace type of fight, this is going to be in the small cage. I think that favors the grappler. We know Leonardo likes to get in there and clench up on people. If she can just kind of muscle Wang around, that's her path to victory here. But I do think she's going to be outclassed on the feet. And because of the knockouts that we've seen recently from Victoria Leonardo, I worry that her spirit is broken. And I worry that her chin is gone. And when your spirit is gone and your chin is cracked, that durability just dips off of a cliff. This could be a Kong KO. It's probably more likely Kong by decision, which is 2-1. And actually, I don't think that's a half bad look on this one. If we can bank on Victoria Leonardo to hang in there, I don't mind the favorite winning at a decision prop, getting 2-1 on that. That might be playable. Turning a 12-1 favorite into a 2-1 underdog, just hoping Victoria Leonardo is tough enough to hang in there. That might be a way we can look. Next up, you've got, I'm not going to try and say this name, Ziggy Ramanska taking on Nathan Fletcher. This is one of the newly added fights here to this card. Ziggy made 146, Fletcher 145.5. Ziggy might have had staph, guys. This is one where he gets up there and just right under the nipple, there's like this big hole. It looks like it's healed up. It looks like it's cleaned over. It's not like my guy Benoit Saint-Denis where the thing was still like spewing volcano style at weigh-ins. It looks like it's healed, but you never know with staph. We've seen people who have had staph come in here and perform like nothing's wrong, right? And then we've seen people come in with staph, and like my guy Benoit Saint-Denis, his cardio was completely zapped. He came out like an animal in round one. Now, granted, it was Dustin Poirier he was fighting, but we've never seen him drop off the way he dropped off in that fight before. So I'm still not a doctor. I'm still not going to tell you how this is going to affect him and his performance. There's a chance he had staph, just something to think about. Nathan Fletcher, very relaxed, looked good, solid smile, solid flex, everything fine there. Ziggy is the much larger of the two fighters, and I will be honest with you guys, I decided to look into some PFL instead of looking into the tough stuff. So I don't have a breakdown on this fight. This fight was not available when I did my research for the card on Monday. And then throughout the week, I didn't even know about it until a day or two ago, and I was looking into PFL. So I actually don't have a breakdown on this one. I'm going to go ahead and pick the big guy. I'm going to say Ziggy, just if anyone's like tracking my picks. I know there's a couple people out there that do that. I have zero basis except the fact that he's a big motherfucker. So I will pick Ziggy to win this fight with zero capping, zero basis whatsoever. Jacqueline Calvacanetti comes in here taking on Josiane Nunes. Calvacanetti 135, Nunes 136. My girl Jacqueline, big old smile, big flex. She looks like she's in phenomenal shape. Josiane Nunes, still one of the weirdest physiques in the game. She is all arms. Like her arms are like knuckle dragging with how long they are compared to her torso. She has this weird short squat head, and you can see her cheekbones are like ramps coming down her face. You know how your face gets sucked out when you're cutting weight? Like she's got such a square head. It's okay. I gotta stop. These two face off. And my girl Calvacanti has massive hair, very poofy, looks fantastic, but she is also way taller. We knew she was going to have a size advantage. Everybody has a size advantage over Josiane Nunes. I've been a bit of a coward this week, you guys, and I've waited. This number is up to minus 225 now on Jacqueline. I should have jumped in much, much sooner, you guys. I think we're going to be calling in an anchor this week. And I should have locked this in on Monday. She was under a 2-1 favorite. And I don't know why I didn't have the balls to pull the trigger at that point. I think getting my head smacked in PFL last week was really kind of holding me back a little bit. My confidence, I wasn't feeling it. This is my type of dirty, grungy, dumpster divey card. And for some reason, I was hesitant on this type of a spot. I wanted to see people on the scales. I wanted to see people make weight. I am absolutely going to be anchoring Jacqueline Calvacanetti. The only way I see Josiane Nunes winning this fight is with a bonk. And frankly, the couple times we've seen Calvacanti hurt before, is it Cavalcanti or Calvacanetti? I've literally said both in this breakdown. Either way, Jacqueline, the only way she loses is if she gets sparked on the feet in this spot. I think she's going to have a grappling advantage. I've talked about this before in my total show that I did yesterday. I am suspicious. I am sure that Jacqueline, with zero evidence whatsoever, I think she's been working on her grappling game. She's taken an entire year off. I expect a better version of her with more wrinkles to her game. We know a gust of wind could knock over Nunes and take her back. So I think there's going to be a big, big advantage for her there. And then on the feet, I think Nunes is just going to struggle to find her. Jacqueline's got a reach advantage, something that even with Nunes being shorter, she usually enjoys. She doesn't have that here. And with how defensively solid Jacqueline is, I don't think Nunes is going to be able to find her in there. I like her a lot in this spot. I really do. Dylan, I see you in the chat. It's not pre-recorded. I'm live, baby. You can look up in the corner. It says live. It'll say premiere if it's a pre-recorded video. I'm here, baby, in the flesh. Let's go. So I like Jacqueline. And I think I might actually do like a mini anchor here on her this week to bring the price tag down on some of my other spots that I like. You guys who don't know about the anchor, basically I pick my favorite spot on the board, one that I believe tends to be a free square. We are 4-0 since I've started doing this. It's a high risk, high reward type of strategy because if the anchor loses, everything else goes down with it, right? I make a bunch of parlays, I tie them all to the same person, and if that person wins, I pretend like they never existed, and you're getting good lines on every other bet that you make on the entire card. So that's what I do, is I anchor them all in two-leg parlays to the same person. I believe Jacqueline is going to make an anchor on Saturday for me because I just have a hard time seeing her lose this fight. And frankly, if you want to hedge that, Nunes by knockout is like plus 550. So it's not hard to hedge yourself on the other side of that and make sure you've got some exposure because I can't see Nunes winning a 15-minute decision. I just can't. Next up, we've got Vyacheslav Borshov. Slava Claus himself makes 155 pounds. James Lrop made 154.5. Both these guys look very good. Lrop was really feeling himself. And it's funny because I thought Lrop was going to be like a really big dude. They face off. He's got a decent little height advantage. And then the camera zooms out. Boy's got shoes on. Slava's up there barefoot. So there's a small height advantage here for Lrop. But he had shoes on and his opponent did not. So that explains about a half inch of the difference there. I do think Lrop is going to have a height advantage, a slight size advantage in this spot, but it's not nearly as pronounced as it looks, and it's not as much as it was in my head. I expected him to be much, much larger. I've been on Team Slava basically this entire week. Another one that I've been a little too cowardly to pull the trigger on. I think we have a violent fight here in this one. I don't think either guy can really take the damage if their opponent is getting off, but if Lrop is not shooting for his life on this one, because we know Slava can't, defend a takedown to save his soul. If this is a stand-up fight, and I expect it to be, Slava just has so much more experience, and he's got such an advantage. Now, Lrop could clip him. He's the younger guy. He's a powerful striker. So, yeah, maybe he could put out Slava on the feet. It's a puncher's chance kind of situation. But frankly, I think Slava is so much better on the feet than this kid that he's a deserved favorite. You got to hold your breath a little bit because of the durability, but I fully expect Slava to go ahead and get the win here this week. So he will end up probably getting parlayed up with Jacqueline on my Saturday card. Jose Medina and Zach Reese. My boy Medina 186, Reese 184.5, and Jose Medina fully transformed his body, you guys. Unreal the way that this guy looked compared to what he looked like on Dana White's Contender Series just a little bit ago. He was fighting in the wrong weight class. He had a bunch of, soft flab around his belly. He was not ready to fight, and he was absolutely in the wrong weight class. Zach Reese, he looked pale up there, stone cold, really intense, really dialed in, but his eyes were sunken in. His cheekbones were really popped out. Like, he's a big guy, so this is a really tough weight cut for him. I'm not going to say that it was affecting him or that it was a bad weight cut or anything. We really don't know because he's kind of a round one, kill or be killed type of guy. Anyway, I don't even know if the weight cut affects his cardio. I don't even know if he has cardio. That's kind of the point. These two size up decently well, actually. Reese always has a height advantage over his opponents, but Medina is not a small man. And when they did get in there close, Medina hit him with the crazy eyes, and you love to see that. He was like waving him on, like trying to bring him into close range. I like this Medina guy. I do. This was a very, very good face-off. Zach Reese looks like he's really intense, and Medina looks like he's really enjoying himself up there. Medina's my kind of guy. And so I got to tell you guys, we started doing the Link Memorial Dog of the Week at the beginning of the year. For those of you who haven't been up to speed, my dog, my boy Link, that was in all my videos barking as I was cheering and doing fireball shots anytime I cash a bet, things like that. He passed away over the holidays, 2023 at the end of the year. And so because we were trying to keep his memory, close, we started doing the Link Memorial Dog of the Week, and I'm picking one dog per week every week to go ahead and celebrate him, and then we're going to track the record and see how I do just picking the one dog. We are very, very slightly negative, by the way. I went on a really rough patch where we weren't hitting anything, and I've hit, I think, 4 of the last 5, so we are right back in it right now as far as the numbers go if you're tailing that Link Memorial Dog of the Week. But yesterday was my boy's birthday. It was a bit of a tough day for me and the wife. It was tough to, have all the memories and stuff like that pop up. We did celebrate him every single year. So kind of a hard day for the family. But for me, as far as a gambling perspective goes, the way I'm going to keep my boy close and honor his memory is by picking a big dog this week. I am going to lean on my boy. I'm going to hope that he's up there barking and howling in heaven for us. And Jose Medina is going to be the Link Memorial Dog of the Week this week. I've been doing, some plus 130, plus 150 types where like we got to get some wins. We got to make sure the record looks good. I have taken just a couple of big dogs, and Anthony Smith should have been the dog of the week the time that I actually bet him, but I made somebody else the dog of the week that card. We're going for it. We're going for it. In celebration of my boy Linky's birthday, we are going to make Jose Medina the dog of the week this week. And I've been wanting to bet him all week. I'm going to bet him in this spot. He's a plus 440 underdog. And basically, I'm not sold on Zach Reese. I've never been sold on Zach Reese. I bet Cody Brundage against this guy because I don't know what he looks like outside of round one. And Jose Medina is a guy that we know for a fact can take an absolute beating and still be there smiling in the third round. And I think that's exactly the kind of guy that you need to beat a Zach Reese. Now, could he just be unskilled enough to like sit down in Reese's guard and give up an armbar? Yeah, he could. Zach Reese could absolutely snap this guy off. But this is the kind of opponent that will get Zach Reese out of the first round. And then we're really going to find out what he's made of because this guy's not going to stop coming forward. Zach isn't some all-star wrestler, so I don't expect him to be able to just like maul Medina for 15 minutes. Maybe he's got that skill set and we just haven't seen it enough. But what usually happens is Reese gets over-aggressive and goes to his back, and then he tries to tap people out with arm bars and triangles from bottom. You don't want to be underneath Jose Medina. This guy's got 9 wins by KO. He comes at you with ridiculous volume. He's got decent pop in his punches. He just refuses to fuck off. That's exactly the kind of guy that I want to fade, somebody who may or may not have questionable cardio or durability, somebody who may or may not be a good hammer and a bad nail. It's been yet to be proven if Zach Reese can even be a nail. The one time he was the nail, he got iced by Cody Brundage. I'm taking the shot. We're going to go ahead and see if our boy can howl for us one more time. Big dog this week. Jose Medina, plus 440, dog of the week, baby. Let's freaking go. Dennis Bookia takes on late notice replacement Francis Marshall. 155.5 for Dennis, 156 for Marshall. Both guys really looked good, especially Marshall, on short notice. Really no problems for him or anything like that. These guys size up really, really well. Dennis does have a slight height advantage in this spot. I'm a little bit biased against Dennis. I don't know that he's very, very good, and I don't know that he's going to be in the UFC a whole lot longer. I think I bet him in his UFC debut, and I feel kind of burned by that, and I've been jaded against him ever since because he was less than I expected him to be. Francis Marshall's a guy that he's had a bit of a rocky road coming into the UFC. Lost his last fight, but he was facing Bulgarian. Like, what did they expect him to do in that spot? So he's kind of on an 0-2 run, needs a win. This spot opens up, and he goes, "Give me that guy." I kind of feel like that says something. Dennis Bookia doesn't really have the greatest counter wrestling. He doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. If Sean Woodson is just mauling you in the cage, I know he's big, but still, he's not a good grappler. I feel like someone like Francis Marshall is going to be able to get you to the ground. This is probably going to be a close competitive fight. If Francis does get tired, I think Bookia can hurt him in rounds 2 and 3 as this thing kind of gets deep. So it's sketchy. It's not great. I don't love it. I'm going to pick Francis to win, probably Francis by decision, because the one thing I can say about Dennis is he's gritty. He's tough. He's a dog. He'll stick around. And Francis, frankly, is just not much of a finisher. So I think it's going to be a close fight, and it's probably going to be a damage versus control type of fight. We're in the small cage. I like the control guy. I'm going to go ahead and say Francis Marshall gets the win here. I'm not sure I'm going to be betting it because he is a small favorite here, and I don't know if I want to necessarily lay minus 140 on him, so he may or may not make the cut when I'm putting together my anchor parlays. Gerald Meerschaert and Edmund Shabazian, 185 for Meerschaert, 184.5 for Edmund. I'll be honest with you guys. Gerald Meerschaert, he looks worn. He looks used. Like, you can see this guy's skull. He's been around forever. He's 50-plus professional MMA fights, and you can see the shape of his skull inside of his head cutting this weight. It's not doing him any favors at this stage of his life. Edmund Shabazian looked huge, big smile, huge flex. Dude's got some arms on him, and he's got a solid size advantage here. When they faced off, these two got together. He's very, very, very big. This is a really, really hard fight to bet, you guys, because Gerald Meerschaert has built a career off of dragging these prospects deep, and not even prospects, other veterans. Like, he just does the Homer Simpson better than anybody else. He will do whatever it takes to survive, drag you late into the fight, and then he can TKO or sub you because he's the only one with the will to fight and gas left to pull anything off. That's been his entire calling card. However, his durability is cracking. The last couple fights, we've seen him take shots, we've seen him get hurt, we've seen him really reacting poorly to opponents' offense. And the one thing Edmund has is vicious, unbridled power, like ungodly hands. This guy can hit like a truck. So it's gonna be Edmund round 1 or early round 2 if he's gonna get it done. But as soon as this thing gets past like the 6-minute mark, you better start looking for the live bet, because Gerald Meerschaert, if he's still alive and in that cage, GM3 round 3 for the people from the top ropes. Like, that's what this guy does. So you can never, ever, ever count him out, especially against somebody who is bad with his cardio. And we've seen just kind of give up and fold in there. You know, his last fight was really bad for Edmund because he's been working hard on his grappling. He got so excited to show it off. He ends up on bottom. He like jumped on his opponent's back trying to grab a neck or something, made a mistake, and ended up underneath him instead. Now, he got up and he nuked the guy, so it ended up working out just fine. But if you end up underneath Gerald Meerschaert because you get a little overexcited, that's not going to be a thing that works for you. You're probably not getting back up. You'll end up in an anaconda and you'll end up unconscious. So Gerald Meerschaert by sub. If anybody wants to take the stab, makes sense. If you want to pound your chest and, you know, say for the culture and play GM3 round 3, makes sense. I've got to pick Edmund. You know, he's still really young, still just 26 years old. Like, the guy is relearning how to be a professional fighter at this level, and he is still showing improvements. He's still getting better. So as he does improve, as he does get better, fights like this where he's kind of hit the reset button on his career, it's going to take him the right direction. He's eventually going to figure it out. He's eventually going to make waves and head the right way and start getting some of these wins. So I do think he probably finds an early KO, and unfortunately it just is what it is. But live bet to find your way out of there if he gets out of that first round and he's starting to look a little tired. Neil Magny and Michael Morales, 170 for Magny, 171 for Morales. Magny shredded as ever, no problems up there. Michael Morales looked great. He's manning up a little bit. The facial hair's coming in. The muscles are coming in. He's looking pretty solid up there on the scale. I got to be honest. These two size up pretty well. Very respectful face off. Magny is slightly taller, slightly larger. That's always the case. He is a big, long, lanky ass dude for this weight class, and he's always got that size advantage. This one is also a struggle for me because I understand why Michael Morales is a big favorite. I understand that Neil Magny is on the back half of his career. We've seen the best of him. His last fight, he was getting his ass whooped right up until his opponent completely gassed out and gave himself an opening. Michael Morales is training with Bilal, who now has gold wrapped around his waist. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I hope you bet on him with me. My shirt should be here. Where's my t-shirt? I think it came in the mail today. I've got my Bilal shirt and I forgot to put it on. Son of a bitch. So I like Michael Morales to win this fight. I do not like a minus 900 price tag. There's just not a whole lot you can do with that. He should be winning. He should be finishing. Is he going to? I don't know. You could take the plug your nose and take the Michael Morales by submission at 7-1 on this fight. I think it makes sense. If he's been training with Bilal, if he's been working on his wrestling grappling, that's the easiest path to victory. But we see with these young kids, they don't always do what they necessarily should do. Look at Ian Gary recently. He finally put his grappling to work in his last fight, but that was the first time he chose to use it. He could have used it a whole hell of a lot sooner, and they just don't. So he could come out and calf kick and stick and move and jab, and we end up in a really close Neil Magny-esque decision, in which case I can't get to minus 900. If he's going to strike with Neil Magny for 15 minutes, most people that do that get sucked into Neil Magny's quicksand. He ends up fighting a whole lot closer than it should be. They end up in a lot of clinches. They end up getting tired. He just zaps the energy out of you. And if that's what happens here, minus 900 is going to look like a joke when this thing is a split decision. Yeah, I do think Michael Morales gets his hand raised, but I can't lay 9-1 on it. So I'm picking him to win. At this point, don't have a bet. Might have to sprinkle the sub props just because that's the way that you failed. That's the way you fade Neil Magny these days and get value on the number. But we have no evidence to suspect that Michael Morales is going to grapple. Even though he's been training with Bilal, I kind of feel like he was the Leon Edwards stand-in, right? Tall, lanky, long, get up and strike. He's not necessarily the one doing the offensive grappling. So I expect him to strike here. So it's probably Michael Morales by decision. Next up, you have got Khan Ofi, and he's taking on Marion Santos. 145 for Khan and 146 for Santos. Huge flex from Khan. Huge ears as well. Santos, he needed the box of shame today, and he screamed in relief when they called his weight. I am not sold he made it, guys. This is one of those ones that I feel like they might have just like inched it over a half pound or something to get the kid in there, because he really looked like he didn't believe he was going to make weight. The amount of relief, that visceral scream that he gave, that's the kind of thing that you're like, I don't think Buddy thought he was getting called on weight there. Khan is much larger. I mean, by a good solid amount. He is the bigger of the two fighters here in this spot. Again, I don't have anything for you guys. I did not look into this, and I apologize. I typed the wrong name there. I believe Santos was the one who was larger. I'm mixing these two guys up right now, you guys. I apologize. I don't want to give you false information. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, because that's like literally the point of this show is to make sure you guys have the information that you need. Let me get this up here real quick. I want to make sure I verify here. I believe Khan. Wow. I don't know which guy's which. That's my bad. Wait, you know what? Not the guy with tattoos. We're gonna say the darker of the two. I believe that's Santos. That should be Santos. He looks Brazilian. I'm gonna pick Santos. I have no reason to give you anything other than he's bigger in this spot. I got to do some research. Maybe tonight while the PFL fights are on, I'll look into some tough stuff. So maybe I can add them to my card if I feel strongly about it, but I don't. So I'll pick Santos, and we'll leave it at that. Ryan Loer and Rob Valentine, the other final on this one, the only one that was scheduled on Monday when I did my breakdown. Loer 186, Valentine 185, and both guys really looked really good. Loer was enjoying himself on the scale, whereas Rob was kind of intense. Rob's an intense guy. I like me some Robzilla. He seems like he's a very fun addition. They size up very, very well. Loer is probably going to win this fight by decision. He's a slight underdog. I like Robzilla better. And from the striking defense I've seen from Loer and his age, I don't think he's the guy the UFC wants to win. Robzilla get it done by KO, maybe plus 275. That's kind of the way I'm feeling here. But at the same time, a grappler, a D1 wrestler, Ryan Loer at plus 450 by decision. That number seems a little crazy to me, because if he's going to win it, it's going to be by decision, right? He's going to grind on this guy, this tough wild man, this discount Yuri Prohaska. He's going to just sit on top of him and do everything he can to control him and drag him back down to the cage. So if you're going to play the Loer side, I would look at that plus 450 by sub, because I think that's most likely how it happens. I think Rob could win a decision or a knockout. I'm going to lean to Rob as a slight favorite on this one, but I also kind of feel like I'm wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? Have you ever made a pick and like as soon as you say it or you write it out or whatever, you're like, like, I don't even believe I'm telling somebody what I think, and I don't even believe myself. So I'm picking Rob, but I am afraid that I'm wrong. I don't have a great feel on the tough fighters, so we'll leave it at that. Co-main event, Angie Hill takes on Tabitha Ricci. 115.5 for Hill, 115 on the nose for Tabitha Ricci. No problem for either woman. Big flex from Angie Hill, and Ricci's got those jacked ass shoulders. She does the hands behind the back pose, and she just shows off those rippling muscles in her shoulders every time. It's kind of ridiculous. These two face off. Hill obviously has a height advantage, and you guys have to get on the Angie Hill train. She is a national treasure. This woman, I'm going to miss her so much when she's gone. She gets up there and she went in for the battle of asses. She saw that Tabitha was rocking her little UFC branded thong, and she stripped down. She pulled the pants off to make sure they went ass to ass for the face off. It was phenomenal. I love you, Angie. You're amazing. This is such a fun fight. It's going the distance. Obviously, this is not going to be a fight where either of these women are very likely to get finished. I do lean ever so slightly to Ricci. I kind of leaned Hill pre-tape, but then I kind of went back and realized, you know, my co-host on Monday reminded me, and then I looked into some stuff, and Angie really has struggled with the takedown defense early on in her career. It seems to be something she's kind of plugged up, but she's also just not facing as many grapplers these days. So I kind of think the volume and the grappling, especially in the small cage, it's going to end up going to the Ricci side of things, and it'll tip a very close fight in her direction, because eventually Angie has to slow down. Eventually Angie has to look old. I'm not expecting it to be necessarily anytime soon, but this is a spot where the younger improving fighter is probably the one that's going to find a way to edge this out. So I'm going to say Tabitha Ricci, unfortunately, even though I'm, you know, all team Hill. I'm going to root for Hill probably. I'm not sure if I'm betting it. Maybe I will. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. Main event time here. Jared Cannonier takes on Caio Borralho. We've got 184 for Cannonier. Interesting. He's coming in so light here. 186 for Kaio. I cannot get over the physique of Jared Cannonier, you guys. I just can't. Like, he's 40 years old, and I've never seen biceps like that. He is unfreaking real. Kaio broke the cardinal rule. He's wearing his sunglasses, but he's another one that he's a repeat offender. We know he's going to wear sunglasses. You just got to kind of deal with it at this point. He was feeling himself up there, though. Big smile, arms spread wide. He's got all the confidence in the world right now. The Fighting Nerds are on an absolute rampage at the moment. He is huge. When they face off, he's about a half head taller than Jared Cannonier. It's crazy that Cannonier went from heavyweight all the way down to 185, and now he's got guys that are towering over him in his own weight class when he's dropped down about as far as humanly possible. It's nuts. I didn't realize how big Kaio was. I thought these two were going to be more on the same page. I really did. I picked Kaio on Monday. My guest made some very good points as to why Jared Cannonier is going to be the side here on this fight, that he's never fought anybody, or Kaio, that is, that Kaio's never fought anybody as experienced as Jared. Jared's got a lot of advantages like the output, the volume, things of that nature. And you know what, guys? I got swayed by my guest. I really did, but there's a reason I didn't bet it, because I wasn't sure I agreed, even though he brought up some good, valid points that I could get to, that I could understand. I didn't feel confident enough to actually like ever completely switch on my pick and then pull the trigger on. And now I'm going to sneeze. So I'm really trying not to right into the camera. That would suck. I'd have to, like mute myself real fast so I don't blow your eardrums out. All right. Situation passed. We're good. We're good. Avoided. We're all right. Red alert. And so what ended up happening is I think I'm going to stay with my pick. The Fighting Nerds are all over the place right now. They are just sweeping through MMA right now. The UFC obviously wants to push them. This guy's the captain of the Fighting Nerds. Jared Cannonier is 40 years old. He just got knocked out. It's a very short turnaround. And we've seen Kyle steal rounds from people grappling, and he's so much bigger than Jared. I think that actually factors in this fight. If he can get to the back, he can body triangle and steal minutes. I got swayed off of my opinion a little bit on Monday. Not entirely, but enough to make me question. And now I'm kind of back. Now I'm kind of back going, you know what? I think I was right the first time. I'm not going to second guess myself. I picked Kaio. The research, the numbers, my eyes, they say Kaio. I'm sticking with Kaio. So I hate to disappoint. You guys all wanted me to go on Jared Cannonier to just verify and ensure that the fade came in and Kaio was going to be a lock this week. But instead I'm going Kaio. So you guys with the Jared Cannonier tickets, you're welcome. Congratulations. That's it for the Undefeated post weigh-in show, everybody. I will run through real quick here, fast and dirty breakdown for my bets on PFL, since I did make those fights start in just a couple of hours. I took a shot on Jesse Stern. He's a big underdog, plus 380. His opponent, Jose Perez, he's like a self-trained guy, and I guess he's like a reject from any of the UFC's stuff. They have no interest in him whatsoever. Jesse Stern looked career best in his last fight, even though he's a little bit older. He's like 32, I want to say. It really looks like he's taking his career seriously at this point. He is in the best shape of his life, and he is He looks like he's a decent enough fighter and taking it seriously. You can see the transformation in his body. So this is the kind of spot where I think that Perez could be like a parlay buster in the PFL, because he's just way overvalued. He's not UFC caliber. He's fighting someone who's also not UFC caliber. And I don't like the fact that he's like a backyard trained myself type of bro. Those guys never do well. They never do well. Like, eventually you got to go get a coach. And if he's still claiming that he's like a self-trained type of guy, I'm willing to bet against that 99% of the time. I'm a little scared on this next one. I did bet Enrique Barzola. I got the worst number possible. He's been bouncing around minus 130 to minus 140. I laid minus 142. He's now minus 120. So some serious love has come in on Tyler Diamond. I've cashed Tyler Diamond tickets in back-to-back fights. I'm 2-0 in the last two fights, backing Tyler Diamond as a dog, and I just feel like this is time to jump ship. I've always loved Enrique Barzola. I feel like he's much more physical. He's got a better pace than a lot of people in like Bellator PFL. And Tyler Diamond is a guy that he's got his last couple wins over subpar competition and guys that he's got massive size advantages over. Yes, he's still got a size advantage on Barzola, but that's never mattered to Barzola. He's always been the littler guy when he's been in these types of fights. He's always got the toughness, the grit, the cardio. He's surprisingly strong. So I think he can actually get out there and put it to Tyler Diamond in this type of a spot. I hate kind of jumping off the train, but I've always said that when the bookies continue to give you dog money on somebody over and over and over and over, eventually that dog money is going to be for a reason, right? Eventually they are going to lose a fight where you're like, oh man, but it's been such a good run getting dog money. I think this is it. Like, I think they finally made him a dog, and it's because he should be. I think Enrique Barzola can win this fight. This is a huge drop in competition compared to what he's been facing recently. So I think this one is one that Enrique Barzola can grind out. Hold your nose, everybody. We're going Ray Cooper in this next one. Ray Cooper, this line has moved. He was a plus 3 something underdog, and I bet him at plus 285. He's now plus 250. So all the money is coming in parlayed on the other side, and yet the Ray Cooper line is dropping. If you like to be on the side of reverse line movement, I know I do, that should make you feel at least a little better if you're rocking with me. Look, I know Ray Cooper has looked bad in his last couple fights, but realistically, he has not been taking his career seriously. He fought Brunson at 185, damn near killed him, by the way, on one foot in that fight. So even out of shape, not taking it seriously, wrong weight class, he still almost killed a UFC caliber guy with one punch. His last fight, he took on a guy that had the belt wrapped around his waist, missed weight, wasn't taking it seriously, had to do a 180 catch weight because he blew weight and couldn't get down to his weight class. He's been training with Kai Kamaka for this fight. Kai Kamaka is in the main event taking on Loughnane, and that's his boy. He's talking about how that guy is going to win the title. He's convinced Kai Kamaka is going to be the next winner of the PFL tournament, etc., etc. And because of that, it looks like, guys, he's got a fire lit under him with Kai Kamaka. The two of them have been training together. He made weight. He is in shape. He looks phenomenal. He looks mean. It really does look like a throwback Ray Cooper to me. I'm going to take that shot. His opponent, Burkamov, he just screams fraud Russian vibes to me. You look back through his record, anybody that he's ever faced in his pro career, they've either been 35 or older, or they've had a losing record. There's no in between. He's not beating anybody young. He's not beating anybody young with a winning record. So those are the types of guys where it's like, man, he's got a boxing level padded record to get here. In his last 2 fights, okay, he fought Lorenz Larkin, and he got iced in the first round by Lorenz with a big elbow. And I mean, face planted. That was his last fight. So I think he's already a little fraudulent, and now he's coming off of a huge KO loss. I don't think this guy is very durable. And if you're going to get iced by a guy like that, I think a still potentially prime 31-year-old, I don't know, prime is a strong word, but a 31-year-old Ray Cooper who's not in his physical decline, he could still be in his physical prime. That's the kind of guy that can knock you out unconscious. And the fight before that for this guy, he quit because of an elbow to the back of the head. And it was one of those ones where he didn't even respond. Like, he got cracked with the elbow. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it hurt. I'm sure he was seeing stars. It is what it is. But physically, he didn't even react. And as soon as the referee stepped in and made himself known, boy was looking for the DQ. So he screams fraud and zero heart to me. I will bet against guys that have that vibe every single time. The big hinge here was Ray making weight. If Ray had blown weight and come in at 180 again because he just wasn't caring, I would not be making this bet. But he's dialed in. He made weight. He looked fantastic. He's pumped up. He's mean mugging the camera. Like, this looks like a vintage Ray Cooper to me. One last ride, baby. I got plus 285. It's plus 250 now. I'm going dog hunting with Ray Cooper. And then the next spot is the main event. I'm also betting Kai Kamaka. I feel like Cooper and Kamaka at least go 1-1 today, guys. That's kind of the way I feel about this one. I don't know that they're going to sweep. I don't know if we can pull off the double upset, but I was thinking to myself, these two guys are training and they're going blow for blow, Goku Vegeta style, trying to make each other the best they can. One is the older statesman, and he thinks his younger brother is going to make it to the title. They're pushing each other. I would feel so dumb if I bet Ray Cooper and he got his neck dragged around and he got taken out and he got submitted, and then Kai Kamaka pulled it off in the main event. I'd feel so dumb. I'd be like, I just pissed away whatever money I bet on Cooper, could have won it back and then a little bit more on his little bro, but I didn't have the balls to play it. So this is almost just like a cover my ass system bet. It's not even like, oh, he's got this advantage or that advantage. Like, no, I just want to make sure I'm betting on both of these guys today. They're highlighted on the card together today. They've been in training camp, this entire camp together. They're both looking to get their hands raised. And I might go 0-2, but I've got a feeling I'm going 1-1 or 2-0. I'm betting on the Hawaiians today, baby. So Kai Kamaka and Ray Cooper the third. Greg, unfortunately, there has been no word from the big guy or anything like that. I will check in with my boy Andrew. I am sure he will toss something out there about the sharp action and things like that when they're coming through. He'll put a tweet out. He usually does that Saturday morning. So I'm going to go ahead and check in with him. Make sure poke him with a hot stick. Make sure he's listening. Andrew, if you're listening, post it. I love you guys. I got some shit to do. I got to go whip my daughter's ass in Mario Kart tonight. I'm probably gonna have to go buy some ice cream for everybody. So that's what's on the agenda. Have a wonderful weekend. Let's kick some ass. Let's make some money. Keep an eye out. If you want to see my bets, if you want to see my stuff and you don't want it to get lost in the ether, join the Home of Fight Discord. I've got my own little channel in there. It's full of other fight fans that are always talking and betting on stuff. Hop in there for free, you guys. Get in there. And Lock Day, no Road to UFC. I'm full fade on Road to UFC fighters just in general, so there's no way I'm going to try and pick a winner from Road to UFC. That ain't happening. I would not be able to pull that off. So thank you guys so much. Love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I really hope we're coming back in the baby blues on Monday because we could use a little injection of cash right about now.
Does anybody else have any other stupid questions for me tonight? Thank you. Have a good night.
That'll do it.